Welcome to 13. Let's go! All right, guys. So we did 3 weeks of DoorDash articles. I do have an ending piece on that we need to discuss today because it needs to be cleared up. But first, I want to say to you guys, I know that I said on Thursday that I would try and do the 13 states with legislation today on 13. There's no way. There's just no way. That would have given me a minute or less on each state. And as I was trying to put it together, I can't do that. But I will do it this week. I will do a piece, and it probably shouldn't take, hopefully it won't go longer than 30, 40 minutes. So it won't be the longest piece, but I will put a link to each of the 13 states legislations in there. And just so you know where we're at with the 13 states, in 2020, California passed Prop 22. In 2023, New York passed its legislation. In 2024, so far, Washington State, Utah, Pennsylvania, and Florida have already passed and enacted the law of their legislation. Massachusetts, Illinois, Minnesota, and Colorado will be passing legislation in the next couple of months. And newly added New Jersey and Connecticut have just signed on as well. So those are 13 states that we'll talk about this week that are either have it legislation or are going to enact it. Either way, you guys can look at it and see what it's going to say, whether the few states that haven't passed it yet, but they all seem to be passing. One way or another, the states wanting this legislation is going through. And they all look different, so we'll go through all that. But I do want to talk to you about two other things. First, I want to talk to you about this Las Vegas thing that's going on. If you guys are not aware, I'm sure you're aware of ghost kitchens that operate, and sometimes these ghost kitchens operate out of places that we're very familiar with, and you're actually picking up you're picking up a grilled cheese from one location that actually is on 3 different ghost kitchen menus. So somebody might go, the last time I had a grilled cheese, it was from this place. I'm not going to get that again. I didn't like it. I'm going to get it from this place now. And the problem becomes that it's the same grilled cheese because it's 3 different names operating out of the same kitchen. So it's the same sandwich. This is not the same thing as a ghost kitchen. And I think there was a little confusion when we first started talking about this. But 4 Las Vegas restaurants have filed a class action lawsuit against Uber. And here's what it alleges. It's the first time it's alleged things like this. It's crazy. Alleging fraud, conversion of funds, civil RICO, that's huge, racketeering, and negligence in connection with Uber Eats delivery service. The lawsuit was filed this week in Clark County District Court on Wednesday. And it involves the Uber Eats pages where, I guess for years, this one is talking about for years, they call it the imposter pages. That's how it's being quoted in all the articles. And again, I will put this article and the next one into the link so you guys can see for yourself. You should be able to do this and know what we're talking about and see it for yourself and dive down these holes a little bit if you want yourself. But so here's what's going on. There are businesses in this lawsuit that have said to Uber Eats, and we don't want to be on your platform. We don't want you selling our food. We don't want to deal with you. And so other kitchens, existing restaurants, have opened up somewhat ghost kitchens in their kitchens using the names of places that are not available on Uber Eats. And a lot of times these are up-class restaurants and stuff that just don't want to deal with Uber Eats and their fees and all that extra nightmare. If you have a great business and you don't need them, why use them? So they have over the years decided, no, we don't need to. But to get into this a little bit, moreover, the complaint alleges that Uber has known that this was going on for years, again, years. And rather than shut down the fraud, they made the platform fraud friendly. That's a tongue twister for me. But so we allege in our complaint that Uber made the deliberate decision to keep this fraud gateway open because they did not care about any business that was not their customer. And because Uber itself was benefiting to the tune of 30% from all of these fraudulent transactions. Also named in the lawsuit is Racketeering LLC, which is the payment processing system that Uber uses for all drivers, both rideshare and delivery. Berkman Melancon, and Nick Doe and Karina Doe 2 Uber Eats drivers whose true identities have not been asserted, along with other Uber Eats drivers who will be pulled into this as well. Plaintiffs filed the lawsuit on their own behalf and on the behalf of similarly situated entities. Together, the class, as it's called now, the size of the class is in excess of 1,000 restaurants. Wow. And so basically what they're claiming is that Uber didn't want to crack down on this because basically these businesses didn't want to do business with Uber. And so they're getting 30% off these fake account places selling stuff. And we've known about these type things for a while, but this is 1,000 businesses. Again, the link will be in the show notes. And then last today, senators probe DoorDash and Uber Eats after report on migrant workers illegally using the platform. Do not confuse asylum seekers entering the country with the migrant problem that the country is facing. Do not confuse that. That is different. This country was built on immigrants and will continue to always be so. I mean, we will always let immigrants in. Since day one, there has been a process to do that. And we should all be happy that that's the case, or we wouldn't be here. So this is a country of immigrants. However, we have to have some threshold to entry. And there's always been one since day one even. So we need to discuss the migrants working on the gig platforms illegally, using illegal accounts, fake names, no background checks, and not paying taxes. That's a big one, you guys. I mean, the whole thing is wrong because there's no background checks, but they're not paying taxes either. We've seen articles coming out about people getting forms in tax season saying, you made $30,000 on DoorDash this year. People saying, I've never worked DoorDash a day in my life. What are you talking about? So some of these are sold and piggybacked like New York City used to do, where somebody who does delivery has allowed somebody else to use their account and they just rent it out directly. But some of these are black market and being sold off. Those are the ones you can find on Facebook and whatnot. And the prices on those have gone way up. Remember, if you remember, we first talked about that being like, $100. It's now somewhere between like $700 and $1,200 to get an illegal account, but it's a locked account right away. You can just push it into your bank account. My guess is most of those, if not all, are the ones that are causing big, big problems. Finally, on Thursday, though, this last Thursday, finally, 3 senators pushed for a complete security probe into the food delivery platforms. Yesterday, another 2 are joining on to the 3. That makes 5, and there's many more now looking into this. So this is awesome. Let's run through the story real quick here. Again, both stories will be linked in the show notes below. So we had 3 senators who blasted out letters to each of the food ordering platforms Thursday, Uber Eats and DoorDash, of course. DoorDash is the primary target here. Thursday, demanding to know what steps they are taking to prevent illegal immigrants from unlawfully working on them. It is about time this happened. Thank goodness that this happened. And it's great that it was, it's 3 senators, now it's 2 more, and it's going to be more, and it's going to be bipartisan too. Maybe not to the full effect, but that's always nice when it's bipartisan. So it's both sides of the aisle saying, no, this is huge. This is a problem. It's not safe. They're talking about, the fact that when you come into this country, there is a vetting process if you're an illegal where you have to be here for 180 days before you can get a work permit, even a temporary status one. And that 180 days is kind of even before a court date potentially that you have on your status. But when you enter illegally completely and you can't work and you never are going to get the 180 days without having a court date, well, how do you work? And gig apps have become the #1 way for migrants crossing illegally to work. Now, again, we went through some of this. If you guys don't understand why using illegal accounts, fake names, no background checks, and not paying taxes on anything is a problem, then, maybe we need to discuss that a little more, because That is a huge problem. We all should recognize that. Again, this is a country of immigrants. So I'm not saying close the border, but I'm saying let's put it back to its normal status, where there's some gotaways, there's some illegals, there's this, that, the other, but there's still the ones that come through properly too, because there needs to be channels. But the most attacked is the gig economy and the gig apps. And it makes sense, right? Because they can come in here and for 700, 800, maybe less, I don't know, it depends where they get it. They can get a black market DoorDash account, put their bank account number into it. All the money gets rolled into there, but it's really somebody else's name who's going to get a tax form for it. So at the end of the next year, they're going to get a tax form saying that you made this on DoorDash. I never worked DoorDash in my life. Now this person didn't pay any taxes. Where do those taxes go to? They go to us. They go to the taxpayers and the people who pay rent and the people who pay to live in this country and who have entered legally. This is not a diss on anybody coming here. In fact, a lot of migrants that are coming here are forced to come here by cartels. I don't know how far down this rabbit hole many of you know, but the cartels do things like say, they threaten their families or whatever. And they say, you have to do this, this, and that for us. And then they get in here and they also need to work. So what do? They grab a phone and they grab a DoorDash account. And DoorDash has become the easiest threshold of entry. So it is the most targeted by the senators right now. And I am so glad they are going to probe this, because it's about time. It is about time. Because unless you live in a sanctuary city, near one, or people, if somehow you're still in an area where you just haven't seen it at all, don't think it's not happening. Ask people around you. It's happening everywhere in the country, and some places much worse than others, but it's also starting to expand out. So I'm pretty sure most people are aware of this. And from the comments I received in the last couple of 13 minutes on DoorDash, I am sure a lot of you understand. So I'm going to put these two links to these two articles into the show notes. Check them out. And please, as always, comment below. I want to know what you guys think about all this. What do you think about the migrant situation? What do you think about Uber Eats letting 1,000 illegal businesses run on their platform and taking 30%? That's 13 minutes of news, guys, in just under 13 minutes. Peace.